Welcome back to Off the Thread Reds, where a group chat of above average Reds fans overanalyze, overreact, and somehow come back for more. We'll break down what's been happening with the Cincinnati Reds in real time and react with the highs and lows of being a Cincinnati Reds fan. This is Off the Thread Reds. Today's episode, we'll be talking about the Reds' offensive power, how it slowly came back into the season, and we'll give a quick recap of our series win against the Tampa Bay Rays and go into a little more details of our offensive surge, should we say. Taking a look at our series recap, we took 2 of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays, which I don't know about you guys, I'm ecstatic of. Didn't end on a high note, but want to kind of open it up for you guys' initial thoughts on how we looked.
Yeah, not gonna have recency bias of like today's performance. You were kind of set up for a dud. You had won 8 out of 9. You've taken 5 in a row on this road trip. I'm not upset that they lost this one 6-1. I'm gonna focus on the positives personally. Outside of a couple of shaky pitching experiences, like today we didn't have the best from B Will and we didn't have the best from Nicholas at the end of the big win that we had. I think you have a ton of positives that you look at. Key Brian Hayes turned a little bit of a corner offensively. Other players contributed. That game 421 where we put up 12 runs, it just felt like everything was going the Reds' way. Defensively, I thought we looked awesome. Salad made a couple of unbelievable plays at first base. So yeah, I mean this is a series that you look at and you're looking at a team that's got 16 wins, 9 losses before coming back and playing a Detroit team at home. And you wonder, can you capture another series? Can you improve to 18-10? So all positives on my end. What a wonderful series. What a great road trip.
Yeah. First off, Mark, you crushed the intro.
Smoked
Good
it.
job there. But
One for
yeah,
one.
really not going to take too much out of today's outing. I mean, the positive is Nick Lodolo is, you know, rehabbing and trying to get back out there, and Williamson would be the guy you take out of the rotation just because he's been an every other start kind of guy and been pretty unproductive every other time he takes the mound. But a great series offensively. I knew we were going to light up Steven Matz. Said it on last pod. We absolutely shelled him. Scored 12 runs that game. And then really the first game I think was the most encouraging because I'm listening on the radio the first couple innings. We get the homer in the first, really exciting. And then you hear bases loaded, nobody out, walk in a run, and it's like, oh no, this is going to be a terrible start from Louder. But he really buckled down, got out of the inning with that as his only damage, and then continued to just throw a great game.
No, I agree. I think winning 2 of 3 was obviously the goal for this series specifically, and coming out the road trip. They're a great road series team. I think they're what, like 3 losses now on the road, which is just such a crazy stat. Um, I was very, excited to see fast starts and then also to not giving up. Um, letting the other team claw their way back. So the first 2 games, I was very impressed. Also, too, seeing their ability to score a dozen was something that we haven't seen this year. So it was nice to see that they do have the capabilities of putting up, a huge number, especially early on. I just, kind of had the assumption that all of their runs were scored on Tuesday night and that today they were going to come out a little not flat, but a little flat. And sadly, that was kind of the case. But overall, the young pitchers are doing their thing. B Will, if he's not locating and walking guys, John, I know that's your guy, and he's had some good starts. The last one in Minnesota, but just wasn't his best effort today.
No, no. I mean, that's generally the rule of thumb as a major league pitcher, right? If you can't locate well, then you're pretty much going to get shelled. We've seen it before with a couple of our different pitchers. Rhett Louder, when he gets behind in counts and has to kind of try and force things, then you're going to give up a big chunk of the plate that you have to try and hit, and you're not going to be as strategic with your pitches. That's what you see a couple times from B. Will, these early on starts he's had, where it's just, I don't think he's getting ahead in the count. I don't think he's locating as well as he would like to. And once you get behind, start walking 4 or 5 players an outing, and you're giving up free bases, not having the location pitches, you're not going to have a great recipe for success that way. I have all the faith in the world in the guy, like I truthfully do. Just I don't know if his time will be right now with Lodolo possibly coming back, with the pitching looking as well as it does, and us having the depth we do in Louisville. I just don't know how long he'll be up in the majors for.
I think he's your long term or your reliever that can come in and get you 2 to 3 innings, and I think he's very similar to Lodolo, tall lefty, and it does seem like it's a very similar, like, you're not losing a lot of different styles, but you're getting a little bit extra, um, an improvement from a Lodolo standpoint, um, but I think there's still a spot for him, don't you think?
I mean, Nicholas didn't make his case for
Yeah,
sending Williamson down to keep him.
I agree with that. I mean, we'll get into him, or at least I will a little bit later. I don't think he's making a great case for keeping himself upright, but we do have other like options. So I guess I would love B Will to be a long arm coming out of the bullpen, giving you 3 innings, 4 innings, kind of like Franco did when he was up here. I just don't think it's not as automatic in my head as I once thought it would be. To where if Lodolo comes back and B Will pitches well, you just rotate him into the bullpen. Now it's kind of like, well, I'd have to think a little bit more on that. I don't necessarily just want to give him that position when we've seen other pitchers come up and do it better than what he's been pitching like so far.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of bullpen, I think 5-1 on the road trip, extremely awesome. You know, you take that every single time. And then also this last series, you didn't even have to throw Pagan, who's kind of been dealing with a little bit of a hamstring thing. So you got a full week of rest for him going into the home series against Detroit. And you basically threw Santi on today just to get him work through
yeah.
6 pitches just because you didn't want him getting rusty. So that's all really encouraging. And I feel like that's the first time all season that we would say our bullpen is well rested going into this series.
Yeah,
Very
a
true.
much needed, yeah, off day tomorrow. I don't I'm pretty happy where we're at. I mean, if this was any other season with the Reds taking this, f jump of a lead from a win standpoint, they would be in front of the NL Central by more than a handful of games, and because everyone decided to play great baseball this first 25 games, we have one of the best records in the NL, but we only have a game lead on the Cups, which is just a frustrating feeling. But that's just baseball. You got to keep moving forward, keep winning series, and kind of pile it together. And hopefully, you're in a position where playoff baseball's coming our way.
Yeah, not to derail it completely, but we had the conversation early on in the year, is the NL Central the best division of baseball? And I'm not here ready to crown it that by any means. But it's kind of crazy. All teams are above 500 by 4 or 5 games. All teams are playing really good baseball to start the year, and it's not just about Joe Schmo teams either. Like Pittsburgh's playing really good ball. The Cardinals are really good and have a good young core and don't look to be backing down. The Cubs are injury ridden and still playing their good ball, and the Brewers are just doing what the Brewers do every year. So, kind of off the cuff question: how many wins after seeing the first, month and change here? How many wins do you think it's going to take to get into the playoffs for the Reds? I saw today some people are still speculating 85 wins will take the Central, and I just don't think that's true. I think it's going to be a
That's
90. I
85.
saw 85 predicted by MLB
for the
Network
division.
to win the division. I personally think it's going to be over 90. I think the Reds are going to have to land about 87, 88 wins to lock up a wild card.
I think 88 is probably your number for a wild card. 92 for whatever just popped in my head for a division
Yeah.
standpoint. I don't know. And,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna go higher on division even.
Dang.
and we all
That's
have to
just the way the
play.
math has been working so far.
Yeah. I mean, there haven't. I could be wrong. I mean, just basing this off of just the Red schedule. Like we've only played the Pirates for 3 total games. Like there's still a lot of divisional matchups between all of the
Yeah.
teams. So I imagine you're going to see a lot of you know, I mean, it's already pretty level. So if we did play, everyone's playing a division, game, it's still going to even itself out just through the course of winning and losing. So I don't know. I like it's gonna be a fun year for the Central, but it just selfishly I didn't want it to be a fun year for the Central
No.
and would want the Reds to have a fast start and everyone else to have a slow start, and that's just
No,
never the case.
Yeah.
last year was a fun year for the NL as a whole, get in 83 wins gets you in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I agree with you on the getting into the playoffs is probably 87, 88. I think to win the division though right now, I would throw out 94.
I did I was dumbfounded when I heard 85 wins to win the division. And I tried to do it, Mark, like you did. Is it the math? Are they trying to math it out? Like everybody's going to beat each other up in the Central. People are going to dip down more than where they're at now. But I just don't think that this team in this division has much give. I think you're going to have to be a damn good ball club to get to the playoffs this year.
Which of the like I kind of think St. Louis is going to drop off at
I
some
think
point, right?
I
Like
think they're going to
that's
sputter
just
out. Yeah.
yeah. Like, but the other teams, like I think Pittsburgh. I know John, you were early on. You know, the Pirates are the Pirates, but I kind of think they're going to stick around. And Chicago's kind of been on a heat or two recently. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and Milwaukee's 5-5, but will always just find ways to win games. So like, I I think it's going to be such a fun, stressful summer in terms of just trying to like every series is going to feel like it matters, to your season success more than ever.
I think the Cardinals sputter out just because the young talent thing, right? Like they have a lot of young guys. They remind me honestly of like the 2023 Reds. You had a lot of young talent you haven't seen before. They came up, they caught fire, and we had a great season, a lot of fun that season. But to do it for the entire year and not just half of the year, I don't think the Cardinals and the young talent's going to have like the composure to maintain the success they have, for lack of a better word. When it comes
Well,
to
I don't
like
think that pitching too.
yeah,
Yeah.
the pitching's lackluster, and the two pitchers that they do have there performing currently, their stuff plus when you look at the data is like not to kind of throw our guys out, but kind of like Rhett Lauder and Andrew Abbott. Like right now, their stuff plus technically isn't the best, but they're just not getting shelled. I feel like those things tend to turn around sometimes. But in general, like I think I was dead wrong. The Pirates look awesome. Like the Pirates look like they're going to be a team that made right moves in the offseason, a team that's playing energized. Um, I have a feeling, and you can clip this, and I could be incorrect. I think the Cubs are going to be the second worst team in the division. Um, I think that just the injuries that they have, like their pitching, they've got pitchers coming back, but their best pitcher Horton, he's out for the entire year. And I just think between injuries, pitching, I don't think the Cubs will withstand. I think it's gonna be a three-way race between Brewers, Pirates, Reds. If I had to give my guess right now.
I mean, the Pirates just scored 3 runs to come back from a 2-1 deficit.
Jeez.
The Cubs do have at Dodgers, at Padres to end the month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, I thought the Phillies were going to give them a run for their money, but they're taking care of them. So, I mean, I don't know. It hopefully it will feel like we're getting a shot in the arm once we get HG and Lodolo back. But I mean, for right now, like for how slow they've started the last 5 years in the month of April, like I've couldn't be happier as a Reds fan.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll kind of move it forward to our thread section. So, Cap, kick us off to Cap's corner for tonight.
Yeah, Cab's Corner, we're running it back classic. We got a Rosebud Thorn here for you. Rose, obviously, if you've been an active listener, it's someone who was successful or overachieved during this series. Bud is someone to be on the lookout moving forward, and Thorn would be underwhelmed slash concerned. Um, I can take the reins here for you. I don't know if my Rose is going to switch until further notice. Sal Stewart may be my Rose for the entire season. I love the way Sal Stewart plays baseball. Um, 2 games this series, he went 2 for 4, multiple RBIs. But most impressed me was in that 12-6 win to have the wherewithal. Nobody's paying attention. I'm going to slide in, take third on a steal, and then on a bad pitch, also get to home. Just manufacturing runs. He's so smart. The way his baseball brain works and the way that he's at the dish right now hitting. I mean, it's another series that he had 5 RBIs. I'm pretty sure he, as of yesterday, was on pace for 162 RBIs. It's just incredible what he's doing currently. So that's going to be my Rose. My Bud only pitched once this series, but feel like he needs to get talked about more is going to be Brock Burke. Brock Burke has been as steady gets. He had 1 game where he gave up 1 earned run off a home run this year against the Angels. Outside of that, been shut down, no earned runs, hardly any hits, multiple games with 2+ Ks. Like he just looks like a guy that you went out and you got in free agency and we're kind of taking a little bit of a flyer on. and he's performing right now. Could be performing the best that he's performed in his career if he continues at this rate. Um, so I'm gonna give him his flowers. I'm gonna go with Bud for Brock Burke and Thorne. We kind of brought him up earlier. Kyle Nicholas at this point to me, we kind of are seeing what we thought we were getting. I remember when we traded for Kyle Nicholas, I tried to give a little bit of in depth where he was, and both you, Mark, and Joey were like, I don't think this is going to be someone we even talk about in the season. So I think we're all correct in saying that. Like the only reason we are talking about him is because he doesn't necessarily fit the mold. Now I do understand he's had only 2 blow up games, but it's 2 blow up games in a 7-game appearance or 6-game appearance where he's given up 3+ earned runs in 2 appearances. So to me, I just think that with the depth that we do have, with Ladola coming back and being able to get creative, that could be a guy that you look at to maybe send down and get more work in the AAA level. But Cal Nicholas is going to take my thorn this week.
Yeah, I believe my exact words were, "I'm not moved." Yeah, and I'm still not, but I kinda hope that he is.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dude, he did have a great outing in Minnesota. Like his
dude,
stuff, like
definitely,
that
he
definitely.
Minnesota, he was great.
he had a great outing. Like to give him his credit, but yeah, he also has shown some not so great outings,
Got
respectfully.
some things to work on still.
Yeah,
You never wanna be, like, getting to a point where you're, "Oh, do we need to get our high leverage guys warming up because is it gonna
Mhm.
get close now?" You had a 9-run lead. Um, but yeah, I'll go with my Rose, Ellie. That incredible play he made in the hole, to Rob Jr. of a hit, showing off the leather. And then, whether it's a position player pitching or the starting pitcher, Ellie's going yard. So he had a good series offensively, aside from today. But really, today nobody showed up.
Yeah,
Nobody had more.
nobody did.
Um, my bud was going to be Rhett Lauder. Yeah, I kind of touched on it at the opening, but him really settling in and not letting a bases loaded walk without an out ruin his entire outing, calming himself down, getting out of the inning, and then totally resetting and being able to. Did he throw 5 or 6 that?
I believe he threw 6 because I believe he threw 6 and Chase Burns threw 5.2, if I
Yeah,
yeah,
he
remember
threw
correctly.
6 when he had been at what, like 28 pitches after the first inning, maybe even
Dude,
yeah,
higher.
yeah.
he
Because
might
he
have
was in
been.
that tough situation.
I think he was at 30. Like it was a high number.
Yeah, yeah. So he's my bud. I I think I got to stick with Nicholas as my thorn too. We don't need to put anybody else down.
I'll try to differentiate from the pack here. Rose, I'm gonna go with base running. The Dane Myers Euro step was sick. The Sal Stewart, which I know he probably got yelled at for stealing third, and then he got home on the wild pitch. Also, like something where you look at and you're like, I'm glad that he did that. And I know he's probably never going to do it again, which sucks. But like, I think he has such a great awareness. Um, I was gonna say Sal though, just because of just how well he's playing in every game. It seems like that 8-year contract that we wanted the Reds to give him is now gonna look more and more expensive. Bud, I think Spencer Steer's slowly creeping into what we can rely on. His batting average increase, I think about 0.15 over the last 5 games, which is a substantial increase, and he's going to creep up to that 230, 240 mark, I feel like, here soon. And I think, he's, I think, on a 4 or 5 game hit streak. I think he's seen the ball well too. And then Thorne, I'm going to go with just the production from a catching standpoint. Higgins and then Stevenson did not have any hits this past series. And it's kind of, I know Higgins got the RBI today, but overall just kind of underperforming as a group. And I know Trevino is going to come back, but even Trevino coming back doesn't really like give you a shot in the arm as he's your
Offensively.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So like um hopefully Stevenson kind of figures it out. I know he's in a contract year, right? So like we want him to succeed so he can maximize his value too. So that's kind of where I stand.
Dude, I really like your Rosebud Thorn there. Rose for base running, absolutely. Especially when you're a team that's coming off of 2 seasons in a row where you led the MLB in outs on the base paths. And my entire gripe with the past 2 years was I'm cool with aggressive base running. I'm not cool with stupid aggressive, right? And people would categorize what Sal Stewart did, stealing a third when you have no outs, as stupid aggressive. It's a baseball rule. There's no doubt about it. At the same time, the baseball rule doesn't say if the third baseman's going to be lackadaisical, never once have a step towards third, if the catcher's just going to be lobbing it back and you can read it well, which Sal did perfectly. There was no throw, stole it unbelievably well.
Clean. Yeah.
Um, Between that and then your thorn of catcher production, that's such a good point of like we've been quick to bring up players like Friedel or Ke'Bryan Hayes or like people who haven't been performing as well. In the same breath, it's not like Stevenson or Higgins are hitting the cover off the ball by any means. And we need production from them as well on a team that's been lackluster offensively.
1,000%. And I think the fact that if this team had more production from Friedel or Hayes, they would be kind of the next group that we would look
Yeah.
towards in terms of improvement, right? So, and Stevenson, I have more faith in Stevenson than Hayes and Friedel at this point, and I don't have any stats to back that up other than just what Stevenson has brought the last few
Been
years.
here for
But
a while. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's just kind of where I stand with it. So hopefully they turn it around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad like putting down Nicholas, but the issue is it was all walks too, right? So
Yeah.
when you got a big lead, just pitch. They're not going to hit
Strikes.
everything out of the park. They'll hit some flyouts. So just throw some strikes. The game will get over. You don't need to throw 42 pitches and wear yourself out that way.
Right.
But we haven't even mentioned Chase Burns, who had an 8 strikeout, 5 2/3 outing. Um,
He's putting together a solid, like, it seems like his worst outings, he's still finding a way to bring some strikeouts to the table, and I feel like he's not gonna get you 8 or 9 innings, but he's definitely been pitching well.
I
Yeah.
mean, through 5 starts, he's rocking a 2.57 ERA
Dude,
with
he's been
30 games.
fantastic.
He's got a 1.1 WAR already.
Yeah. He's
I think
been
he's flying a little
fantastic.
under the radar to this point because that Angels start, but he's
I'm
got great
telling you, if he continues to pitch that he has been, and Abbott continues to pitch how, or Singer or whoever, and you get Lodolo and Hunter Greenback, I think it's going to be a hard conversation to have if he's your
You
third.
cannot take Burns out of the rotation the
No,
way he's
No.
pitching.
There and that's become clear. I feel like the picture's kind of taking form, right? Like when those players come back, I don't think Chase Burns is the first name. I don't even think Chase Burns is the name that you think about setting the bullpen. He's got to stay within your 5 day rotation. Chase Burns is also a guy that ever since he got brought up, it's kind of just been like, all right, he's a home run or like bust pitcher to me. Like he doesn't give up a lot of soft contact. Whereas like Abbott against the Angels, right? He gave up a bunch of runs off a bunch of singles. Whereas Chase Burns gave up 2 earned runs and it was a piss missile to the stands. Like when he came up and he faced the Yankees for the first time, he had a ton of Ks, but he also gave up 2 or 3 bombs. Like he's kind of like Hunter Green, right? Hunter Green doesn't get just like tip tapped a bunch. It's either I'm gonna get rocked to the outfield or I'm gonna have a stellar performance. And I don't mind that, especially from Chase Burns as a young guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that we on this podcast, we have a 3-on-1 argument, and since we're missing the one on the other side of the argument, we're gonna go all in on Chase Burns cannot go to the bullpen.
Well,
He's in the team.
sign the petition. Cool. I think now it's time for our unpaid sponsorship of Mark's Metrics, brought to you by Masali Law. I don't know whatever we've discounted it to this point would knock off a more couple of $100 or whatever it is. In honor of the NFL draft is tomorrow, fellas. My only bet, which I'm not betting, is Caleb Downs to be the 5th pick in the NFL draft by the New York Giants. Bengals traded the 10th pick for Sexy Dexy. So we can sit tomorrow out unless you have strong inclination or insider sources thinking that the Bengals are going to move back into the first round. But that 41st pick is a little bit of a tough jump into the first round. So I imagine they would probably trade back and accumulate picks. But this one, I just kind of assume Harbaugh's going to get his Kyle Hamilton guy. Whether it's linebacker, then safety, or safety, then linebacker, it's just kind of a shot in the dark. But value-wise, plus 400, Giants trade or pick at 5.
Yeah, I'm not a big like mock draft guy, so I don't really know what the rest of the draft is looking, especially now that the Bengals traded out of the first draft. And I don't anticipate them getting back in it at all. Would be nice to see Downs and Styles go before the 10th pick too. Just provide some reassurance that yeah, it was the right move. I
I
think we already know that though.
Yeah, I think the Bengals had to have a high 90% chance more than that, knowing that the board wasn't going to fall their way, right? So, like, I think there's a reason they made the trade, and I think it's because they were in a position that they were going to take a guy that they had maybe closer to a second round grade than a first round grade at that 10 spot. So,
There is no player that could be sitting there at 10 that's gonna make me upset that the Bengals did a proactive move in getting Dexter Lawrence. I'll just say it that way, like, from a fan
I
perspective,
agree.
I don't
I
care if
agree.
Sony's sitting there, I don't care if Caleb Downs sitting there. I personally love the Caleb Downs to be picked 5th for 400 odds. I don't have any intel on it, but I'm itching to have something for tomorrow, so I'll take it. Um, but it quite literally could not matter if the creme de la creme or the best player that you can imagine in the draft is sitting there at 10. The Bengals getting out of their ways and just being like, "You know what? Like, we're not technically thrilled with anybody we think that's gonna be there at 10. Let's go make a move that's gonna make our team better right now." And who's to say Dexter Lawrence doesn't perform really well and the Bengals say, "Let's go ahead and try and get for a contract, a second contract," like, it's not just a one-year thing guarantee, so, I was happy with the move, and I will be taking Caleb Downs to be 5th pick in draft plus 400, not gambling advice.
bingo. Not gambling advice. Just looked at DraftKings and said, "Yep, that looks about right," and then put it out to the people. So, it should be a fun draft, though. I like watching the NFL draft, especially like it gives you, especially during an off game for the Reds. It's a fun little event that the NFL does.
Yeah, I want to win now. I like Dexy.
Yeah,
Right move for the Bengals.
I
Yeah.
completely
All right,
agree.
All right,
Joey.
moving into around the league. All right, well, so the Mets are tied 2-2 in the bottom of the eighth. Their current streak is at 12. There's no way they find a way to win this game, right? I don't think anybody believes in them at this point. Um, Other news in the league: the Padres signed Lucas Giolito, which was kind of surprising that it went all the way through a full month of the season before he was kind of the last free agent starting pitcher out there. Pretty team friendly deal. I'm kind of curious. Do you think the Reds would have considered something like that if we had started 16-9 and then Lodolo goes down and we don't have Williamson at
Ooh.
any point for that?
Now that's an interesting question. I will take the jump and say I'm gonna have faith in the team and think that they would go after it. If you start 16-9 with young guys like Ellie and Sal, and Lodolo was a producing piece of the equation, he goes down. I would hope that they would be like, let's replace this with a guy that
A
like
little more trustworthy arm. Yeah.
100%. Like it has been on the diamond within the past like 365 days outside of this first month start. So like I would agree. I'd hope to think that that would be their thinking, but at the same time, they might be like, hey, we've got guys in AAA that we really trust. Like we do have good arms, and the Reds have been a team that kind of tries to focus on staying within the clubhouse, but it would have been cool. It's a cool scenario to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. With our current situation, it was never a thought
No,
because,
no,
with 16-9 and we're expecting to get healthier. So, you almost create an issue if you sign him at this point.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah. Well, the other one kind of want to go a new direction with this around the league on some of our Wednesday shows, since we'll keep kind of most of the what's happening in standings, who's hopping around for our weekend shows. Let a whole week of action take place before that. So we're going off of an ESPN article of the best and worst free agency signings ever, and I had the crew come up with their best Reds free agency signing ever. We may don't have to do worsts, but some of those might come a little bit easier on top of mine. But the ESPN list for the number one was Barry Bonds, San Francisco. I think that's an absolute no brainer. I mean, he ended up with his contract was a batting WAR of 109.1 on that contract. Uh, Greg Maddux to the Braves, another just total longevity. David Ortiz to the Red Sox, just signed him at the right time, and he ended up there the rest of his career. Larry Walker to the Rockies. and Randy Johnson to the Diamondbacks. There were a few others that are of note. Um, two current contracts on here. Aaron Judge is over here ranked on as number 14, and Shohei Ohtani, just 2 years in his career, is ranked as the 19th best ever, and that's with a $700 million contract.
Yeah.
But he's won 2 World Series since he's got there, so I think he maybe should be higher,
I
honestly.
assume by the end of his career, he's gonna crack the top 5. Like,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna be having a conversation around, is this the like, you could already theoretically think that there could be a conversation for the best player of all time. Even though he's old, like, he's older than you think, he might not play for that long of a time. His dominance level of both pitching and hitting is insane. If he's stacking rings, I don't care if it's with the stacked Dodgers, it's just gonna play well in his favor of making him, like, he's gonna crack this top 5 list. I have no doubts about that.
I
yeah,
mean, back-to-back World Series at a bare minimum and what, back-to-back NL MVPs.
right.
I
And he
mean,
had a season that was how many homers? 50 plus
he was a 50 and 50 guy.
And
50,
he's
50
He
is
just
what I'm
starting to
saying.
pitch. He's just starting to pitch now.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, and he's only getting more valuable too. It's ridiculous. For worse ones, a couple that I thought would make the list. Oh, you okay? Sorry.
I haven't done the worst yet, but
Oh,
okay,
okay.
okay.
there's one other best one of note. Edwin Encarnacion cracked the list at number 18 for the Blue
Blue
Jays.
Jays?
Really?
Dude, I always think about, like, if we would've gotten the Blue Jays version of Edwin Encarnacion at the Reds, like, he was a good player for the Reds, don't get me wrong, but, like, if we got that level of pop in Great American,
He was unleashed. He had like was it? He almost hit 50 home runs that one year with like Batista, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. And
dang.
then so the worst contracts that they had was Barry Zito, number one. He got $126 million contract back in 2007, which was just basically the Shohei contract back then, and he ended up with a WAR of 1.7 on that contract after um, I don't know how many Cy Youngs he had before that, but he was dominant on the other side of the bay.
Yeah.
Chris Davis for the Orioles, he had the one monster year, and then they signed him to a big deal, and he did nothing after. Steven Strasburg was another one of like just paid for past production. I mean, he only had a couple outings after he
Yeah.
signed this new
That
deal in
that was
2020.
an emotional decision too, right after the World Series or like
Yeah,
leading up to it.
I think it was just like it's like if the Bengals won a Super Bowl and Burrow's like age 38 season, and we're just like, all right, Burrow,
5
7
year.
years,
Yeah.
500 million. Um, Patrick Corbin, also of the Nationals, the year before. So that's why the Nationals are still kind of sticky, is they made these two terrible
Yeah.
contracts 5 years ago. Jordan Zimmerman of the Tigers, I don't even oh man, I don't even know who the hell that is. But he cracks this list, and probably a reason we don't know who he is. Few others of note, Albert Pujols was like the 7th worst on here for the Angels, of
Mhm.
course. Um, and then Chris Bryant.
That was one that I
Yeah.
was gonna
I
that
think
was
he should
yeah.
be higher because
Yeah, he should be higher.
he's got a
Um,
minus 1.6 WAR since joining the Rockies.
where's Anthony Rendon on this one?
He was on there right by Pujols. They were
Okay.
moving.
He also got a lot of money to not play a lot of baseball.
Yeah, he just basically, but he
Just
did call quits before and retired. So I think he left some of the money on the table.
Really?
I
Well,
think so.
he signed a fat contract, didn't he?
Yeah, it
It
was
was
7
like the
years,
one
245 million.
oh my god.
Okay, so I think they had a buyout of the deal.
like where he gets probably deferred payments for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Are there any
Um,
notable Reds on this list that you saw?
no Reds made the ESPN list. But I mean, it was Edwin Encarnacion was really the only one.
I looked up Edwin Encarnacion's stats, and I am almost sick to think about this. At Great American Ballpark, his best season, he hit 26 home runs. When he played for the Blue Jays, he had seasons of, and this is all back to back, 42, 36, 34, 39, 42, 38, 32, 34. I wish we had that power at GABP. Those numbers all inflate him by 5 to 10 homers.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of had production from that position at least because it was
Yeah, oh,
rolling right out.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, he was Was he part of the trade with Roland, and then the Blue Jays signed him?
Um,
That's
I
a
Because
good
honestly
didn't we
don't
get
question.
know.
Roland?
This would have been we traded him in 2009.
Yes, they were part of the trade.
I say it looks like there was
Same
multiple
trade.
teams a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
And then we had Todd Frazier shortly after
the
Roland.
the Todd father,
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez.
so
And then
Joey,
Suarez.
who would be your favorite Reds free agent signing? I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit
Yeah.
here.
I was torn between two, so I'm gonna pick one of them, and then if neither of you say the other, we'll circle back to it. But I actually really liked Ryan Ludwig.
Okay.
That
It was
was a
a
good
short
one.
deal, but he provided a lot of pop, took a team to the playoffs, provided even some pop in the playoffs.
Yeah,
He fit well in this team right now, playing left field.
I would agree. And it was a guy that came from a team that you hated too. Like,
Well, it's Cardinals and Pirates that
yeah.
played before. Yeah.
And he also came, it wasn't like he came and didn't play well for the Reds. He played well, gave us good time. Um, and like I said,
Wasn't a Jim Edmonds situation where
Yeah,
Edmonds
no.
tortured
yeah,
us and then gave us nothing.
just nothing, or like a James Harrison Bengals situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
What
I
do you guys got?
is it favorite or is it like
I
best?
was
I
gonna
guess is
say because I'm not
I think
gonna
it's
give you
favorite.
okay.
favorite.
Yeah.
Mark, go ahead and take the wheel because I'm not getting Joey's other guy with my favorite.
Okay. I have a couple. I just kind of Googled a long list of them to see who popped out. Obviously, I liked when Nick Castellanos was
Yeah,
like he brought a swagger, the flexing on the Cardinals catcher when he like slid home and like
that's right.
I mean, he had like in like his story, like he loved being here. His family loved being here. Like his son had that cool experience. Like I felt like he was like a real like a fan favorite, and he also like all stars like experience all this stuff. And then when he left, the compensation pick of him leaving led us to getting Sal Stewart. So that one kind of helped us long term as well. Um, so that one's kind of my cop out. I saw the list and Jeff Brantley's on the list from the AI overview. So the cowboy, because I love him as a announcer. So long term cowboy too.
Okay.
Mm. I've got one name and one name only, and it's simply because every time I see an edit of him from the 2019 team, I have to watch it. Derek Dietrich provided me so many memories with the 2019 team, him and Yasiel Puig, like his homers that he pimped against the Pirates, him cutting off the jersey sleeves, rocking vest, pumping iron, and like all of those moments that he provided make him one of my favorite players that like he was only here for a season. He hit under 200 and only hit 19 home runs.
We won 75 games.
And if you were to watch the edits that produced of him, you'd be like, what'd he do? Hit 30 bombs and hit like 300? No, 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 no. He started shit and it was a fun time to watch.
If you're not going to be good, be interesting.
A
And that like that
100%.
period of Reds baseball, they were interesting. Mikey
Yeah.
Biceps,
Yeah.
Dietrich, Yasiel Puig, like just characters, right?
Amir Garrett starts the fight. I mean, I
Yeah.
tuned in every night and it was
Yeah.
bad
Oh, yeah.
baseball. Who wouldn't?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you already mentioned earlier in the previous episode that you'd be drinking Jack with Dietrich at the
yeah.
bar.
Yeah.
Up in the bar fight.
That's true. That's true.
For this, Joey, were international signings up for fair game because obviously like Aroldis Chapman sticks out, but like not a great guy, so don't want to lead with that. But like in terms of like
Well, so it's mostly guys who were immediately on
the team, like
the
we're
major
like
league roster,
okay,
which I think all of those that we named were.
we're okay.
But Chapman, obviously,
Was
but that's kind of I kind of think of that more similar to like a drafting a guy. You're investing him early at
Yeah.
least.
right. Like
Uh,
it's all scouting at that point. It's
yeah.
not. Yeah. Okay.
The other one I had in mind for like one of the best was Coco Cordero.
Yeah.
Francisco.
We gave
Yeah.
him huge closer money. I think he may have been the highest paid closer when we got him, and he delivered 40 saves in that year where we went to the playoffs for the first time in our lives. So
Yeah.
felt like cashed in on that.
Yeah. And that was a good one. I don't other honorable mentions, Moose, Shogo.
Showed
Ryan
up. There's
Hayes.
one really random one that I always think of too. It's Corey Patterson. When we
Okay.
signed him a minor league contract and he started in center field that year, but then Jay Bruce was who kicked him off the big league
Yeah.
roster for his call.
Wade Miley gave us a no-hitter,
That's right. Yeah.
so
Frankie
I always think of
Montas gave us an
Wade
opening day
Miley and Will
start where he got
Myers.
pulled. Will
Monta.
Myers.
Yeah.
Will Myers. That's a pull. That was a name
Austin
that when we
Hayes.
signed him, I got excited.
And
Yeah.
who was the lefty pitcher that we got like maybe the same year as Myers, who's not didn't give us much?
Same year
Tommy
as
Pham.
Myers.
No,
Oh,
that was
Tommy
around
Pham.
the same time though. We're probably talking 2022.
Cincinnati Reds free agents in 2022. Tommy Pham, Hunter Strickland, Donovan Solano, and Colin Morin. If I go to 2021, you think?
We're looking for pitching stats, I guess. 'Cause maybe he wasn't a free agent signing. Mike Minor.
Hmm.
I
I'm
don't know
now
how we
just
got him.
looking.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got him, but he was 4-12 for us with
No.
6.06 ERA.
Yeah,
So I
alright.
was remembering correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Just we could probably do 2 hours of naming vague Reds players of our lifetime
Now
and
that's what we're
if you
doing on
wanna.
my bachelor parties. We're just naming
Yeah.
all the we'll be dropping all the best prospects of all
Yeah.
time. Ricky
Yep.
Henderson and Manny Ramirez.
Yeah.
Spitting them out. Max Scherzer.
Yeah. We got a couple fan questions. We'll get to the first one and then maybe tackle the second if we have time. But first one from Ryan: if the Reds make one trade deadline move, what should it be? Um, Maybe a catcher at this point, but I still, John, no
You first. You first. The only thing I was gonna say is I was on the same line as you as catcher, or I still don't trust our outfield 100%.
corner outfield.
I was
Still,
gonna go
Yeah,
get
just
a trustworthy outfielder.
someone that you can plug in. Obviously, like I know you
It
don't want to
doesn't have
trade
to be
for.
corner either.
yeah. I'm not. Here's my thing. I'm not even like at this point. Like I'm not even looking for a big bat outfielder. I'm just looking for someone that like through what is it? We're at 25 games. 25 games. I think we were today. Through 25 games has more than like 2 RBIs or 1 RBI, and been put in plenty of scenarios. So like I'm cool with making a trade deadline move for outfield or for catcher. I will say I don't think it's as dire as we once like thought it would be when we entered the season. Um, but those would be the two things that we're looking at. Honestly, I think our infield is pretty damn good, if you ask me. With the depth pieces we also have in AAA, I think our bullpen and our pitching has proved that let's go ahead and just keep that alone for a little bit. Let's let that ride the hot hand.
Would Austin Hayes be kind of like a perfect corner outfielder, like what you got last year out of him for what we kind of need currently?
He just didn't play enough, right?
No, he
Yeah,
was always, it felt like he was always hurt. Like, I mean, he had moments, but like,
He
I
could
always feel
produce.
like, yeah,
Man.
he's not your fourth hitter, but like, that's where we stuck him in, right? Like, it always felt like he was batting cleanup or fifth, like in a big spot, and not to slight him, but it just seemed like he might be more of a 6-7 guy versus, a 4-5.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you put Austin Hayes in this lineup and pretty much replace any of our 3 outfielders, and our lineup gets better.
He's in Baltimore right now.
He started in Baltimore. Did he go back there?
Yeah. Sorry, he's in Chicago White Sox. Oh,
That that makes more sense. Maybe he'll be on
yeah.
the market.
I
Bring him back.
I mean, I will say It's tough too because, like, if I'm putting on my practical hat again, right? Like, I'm not gonna try and act like this is MLB The Show and I can do whatever I want and change the sliders off. Practical, small market baseball, you do also have 2 outfielders that are performing damn well in AAA that you could try and lean on between Hector Rodriguez as well as JJ Bleday. If JJ Bleday gives us the exact season that he had last year, which I believe he only hit, like, 220, like, that's all he did, he would already come in and bolster the offense. So I struggle with it because I can see the small market side of like if you go to get a guy that's just going to be average, then why not just look into like a Hector Rodriguez or JJ Bleday and give them a shot first? Um,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna make a big jump, right, if you're gonna try and go after a big fish, then I think you're showing your cards that you think that you have to have a win now scenario. Like, I don't think you can get away with doing a big signing middle of the season and not give away prospects that could help you in the next year or 2.
Who
Yeah.
do you think would be the kind of big fish we'd go for? Like a Joe Adell, or are we talking bigger?
I think Joe Adell would be a great name. I said Riley Green before the season. I think you go look at some player like midway through the year. I think you have more of a scale also to do a Reds move of looking for an older player. Except for this time, you at least have half a season of data of like, okay, they're still performing at the clip they were. Maybe we go after something like that. I don't know. That's where it gets tough because like big fish market, you can be shooting for tuna or you could be shooting for great white. So, um, really depends.
Jorge Soler popped in my head because he would do really well in Great American Ballpark. I just googled his contract and
Yeah, he did
he's
really
on his
well.
he's in his last year's contract. So like maybe he's 34. Maybe he wouldn't require a ton of prospects to be hauled to
Yeah,
Los Angeles. But question is whether they would trade for a 34-year-old outfielder.
Yeah. And
I don't
thank
hate
you,
that
Ryan,
idea.
for that question.
Yeah.
I don't know who
Yeah,
Ryan
and
is,
Uh,
but shout out Ryan.
if we're talking Reds, small market, but going back on the like, we wanted to bring home Kyle Schwarber because it drive ticket sales. Bring Schwarber home. Bring Benny home. Get Benintendi from the White Sox. They'll probably offer
yeah.
him for pretty cheap. Make
What's
that
that?
be happen.
What's that contract sitting at?
Oh, I mean, they'd be paying part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bring him home.
5 years, 75 million,
That's not
but he's only
See
got a year left after this. So
okay.
see, that's the kind of player, though, that I would lump into, like, if you're looking at Andrew Benintendi, why are you not just going
yeah,
JJ Bleday or Hector Rodriguez? At the same time, Andrew Benintendi's ceiling, I'd like to think, would be higher than JJ Bleday, and I'd like to think at this point in Hector Rodriguez's career, probably higher than him. But right now, with the way he's playing, it's a little bit tough to make that argument.
yeah, he's a great glove at least, and he's still batting
Fantastic.
like 210, which is horrible for his standards because he's done so much better, but it is better than our outfield.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's one from Ryan. Looks like Ryan double dipped with questions. What is
Okay,
the
okay.
most Reds thing that could happen this season? I mean,
Mm.
go on a 20-game losing streak would be something that would be. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think they're in a position where they could be buyers, and I don't see a world like they're obviously not going to be a seller at the deadline unless something horrible happens over the next 60 games. Um, But I mean, in terms of what we think of when you think of Cincinnati as a whole, you think of having a lead and blowing it at the end. So hopefully that's not in the cards. But I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are.
The most Reds thing, I'm gonna get pretty vague on you here, but in years past, I feel like with the Reds, the thing that's hindered us the most or the area that we are strongest in typically gets a little bit of an injury bug or some sort of attack to it, and it's not as strong throughout the season. I think the most Reds thing would be if we started to see some of these bullpen pitchers either A, kind of get out of the unbelievable pitching that they're doing now and kind of come back to earth a little bit. Which if they do come back to earth at all, right now that could be something that really affects us, especially in all the one-run win games, all the extra inning winning games. So my thing would be like just if the bullpen for whatever reason got hit with an injury bug, or if the bullpen has something go awry and they don't play as well as they have been playing, you're gonna start seeing the Reds come down to earth a little bit, I think, and that would make everybody else kind of be like, "What's going on with the Reds?" Well, the bullpen isn't pitching 2.26 ERA and shutting teams out consistently throughout a series. So I guess that'd be a cop-out answer, but the bullpen not performing up to snuff to what they have been doing.
Yeah, mine's not gonna be terribly negative, but it would absolutely stink in the moment. It'd be scoring 0 runs at Great American Ballpark in front of 45,000 fans in a wild
Mm,
card series that you're hosting.
yeah.
Okay, we've seen that movie before.
Wow. That just gave me a horror film in my head.
I'm still watching
Yeah, we'd still be there. We'd
the
still have
2020 team
tickets,
trying to score against Atlanta right now.
Love.
but it'd be our first chance to go to a playoff baseball game at GABP in 14 years.
No hit
Yeah.
versus Roy Halladay.
And the
Paul Skeens no hits us in a
yeah,
Oh
I would say
god.
the idea of playing against, like, an elite pitcher and there's not a lot of data or confidence that they can compete against, like, a Skeens at home would be nightmare fuel, but I would like to be in that situation instead of a what if, so I'll take it
yeah,
as of right now, but
right.
let's avoid that.
Here's what I'd like to tell our friend Ryan. The season feels different. Let's not even think that the Reds are gonna Reds. Let's just think that we're gonna play good ball, and then when the Reds eventually do Reds, just start thinking about the Bengals in August.
Hopefully they're not Reds in before Bengals season starts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get us to Labor Day. Um, no, thanks Ryan for double dipping on these questions, and then we'll end up with Reds Tigers preview for this upcoming weekend. So we have an off day tomorrow, and then we have Abbott on the mound Friday, followed up by Singer, and then Louder on Sunday. Initial thoughts are we get to avoid Scooble. Um, Anything stick out on the forefront from the Tigers? Who's starting to play better, looks like.
Yeah, Tigers are a decent team. Obviously, skipping Struble is all you can ask for in that matchup. You still got to face Framber in the first game, who's no easy suspect to score on either. And then Jack Flaherty's kind of he could give up 6 runs in an outing, or he could shut you down for 7 innings. So you don't really know what to expect. I think it's a pretty even matchup, honestly. I think they're both pretty similar ceiling ball clubs. Personally, I think the Tigers had a good year last year, brought in Framber, so they're expected to finish towards the top of the American League. But I don't know. I mean, matchup by matchup, I think the Reds can compete in this one.
Yeah, we're 3-3 against Jack Flattery from his Cardinal
Flaherty,
days, right?
yeah,
Flaherty,
yeah.
and maybe we can kind of capture some of that Great American Ballpark haunting memories on him.
I mean, I know he was like a huge prospect. He might have been the number one prospect when he was called up or something.
Yeah,
I will
he's very
say
Cardinals-like.
my biggest fear in this is just Abbott facing Valdez and Singer facing Flaherty. I think that they have good pitching. I lean a little bit like, I mean, we just had a great offensive series, but looking at their offensive lineup, I lean a little bit their offense over ours from a production standpoint. Anytime you look at facing two really good pitchers and their offense can produce, and you're going up against a guy who Abbott hasn't looked to form yet, and Singer's had his go at some tougher outings. I think it's a series where you're going to have to offensively score to win games. I think you could easily put duds up offensively and look at the series and you're down 2 games in the series going into Sunday. So, and it's a tougher one. I am excited. Riley Greenstand to see how he performs in Great American Ballpark. See if my premonitions were correct and he's going to hit some dingers. But
Let's hope not.
overall, yeah, let's hope not. I'm just hoping to win the series. I don't want to get egregious and say sweep, but take 2 and try and move on to the next series afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction would be drop the first one, Abbott and Valdez, but probably a little disheartened by losing 2 straight and Abbott not looking as good as an ace.
Sure.
And then I think you're winning on Sunday. That prediction, I think it kind of comes down to Saturday when you have your two pitchers who are both very capable, but also not very dominant. So,
This is also like the start of what I'd like to say is a pretty good stretch of what you can make it, right? If you take 2 against the Tigers here, then you face Colorado at home, you'd like to take that series as well. Then it comes into that pivotal.
you have to take that
You had to
seriously.
take that
Definitely.
one.
then it comes into the pivotal moment of like, all right, now we get to divisional rivals. This is where we can kind of step on the gas. You got back to back Pittsburgh Cubs. Um, so not to look too far ahead, but this Detroit series, if you can take that series, take Colorado series, then you're into Central playing 7 straight games against opponents that are in your division, and you can either stomp further on throats or you can give some games back, but still have the overall first in the Central. So something to look forward to.
They're going to be riding high off the energy of 18 Cincinnati guys, 5 rows behind the Reds dugout, and that
Uh-huh.
on that Friday night in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
so.
yeah. I think that's a Brady Singer game for us, Joey.
Singer
Um,
versus Mlodzinski.
Malinsiki. Um, no, I think they have to like 3-3 is worst case scenario in my opinion. Obviously, like if you lose the series to either the Tigers or the Rockies, just try to bounce back, and obviously flip it. But Tigers are a good team. Rays were a good team. Like you're gonna have to play good teams, and I am itching for that Pirates series and have the ability to kind of get revenge for and also to win in Pittsburgh. I feel like we haven't been able to do that for a while. So hopefully end April on a high note and start off May first place. Cool. All right. Without Kirby, this was a smooth sailing as your pilot for tonight, fellas. So that was Off the Thread Reds. You can find us on Thursday and Monday mornings on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. John, Joey, final remarks.
No, that's all I got. Let's
Go
take care of the
Reds.
Go
Tigers.
Red Legs,
Go Reds.
baby.
Go Reds. Let's see.